YouTube, how we doing? Today we're going to be going back into another perfect offseason rebuild for the Arizona Cardinals this time. The Cardinals are in a weird spot. They have some talented players on their roster. You know, Kyler Murray, DeAndre Hopkins. They had J.J. Watt, obviously. Just a lot of talent around this team, but a lot of holes and deficits on this roster, as well as a reason why they're picking so high in the draft this season. So there's a ton to get into for this. If you guys are new to this series, we're going to go over everything from cap casualties to free agents to the draft and show what this roster looks like before and after this offseason. So if you guys do enjoy this content and you want to see more of it, or you want to see your favorite team, go ahead and like the video and comment down below which team I should be doing next. I have a couple planned out, but there's definitely room to be making another one, and these do take a lot of time, so it does help me out if you would hit that subscribe button and like the video, as it does help out a ton. Last but not least, if you guys are new to the channel, we are sponsored by Underdog Fantasy, the best fantasy platform for all your needs of fantasy football or other sports. If you guys want to go ahead and use that code, it's going to be code Sormani, SORMANI. It'll match your first deposit up to $100. It'll match it 100%. So just go ahead and click the link in the description or go to underdogfantasy.com. Use the code Sormani, SORMANI, and you will get that first deposit matched. Without further ado, that's going to be it for this intro, and we're going to get into the 2022 roster. So looking at last season's offense, you have obviously Kyler Murray leading this offense on there. If you guys are new to the series, their ratings above is pretty much just kind of like an overall rating, similar to what you see in like Madden. Kyler Murray here, 84 overall, very solid quarterback. Had a down year last year, had dealt with some injuries as well, but still very good. You're looking at James Conner and Keontae Ingram, not the best running back tandem in the league, probably one of the, below average ones in the league, to be honest. Conner didn't have as great of a year as he did before, the season before, but still a very solid running back. Zach Ertz at tight end is very good. Dealt with injuries and was out for most of the season last year, but still one of the best tight ends when healthy, even at his age. Then you got the receivers. DeAndre Hopkins, one of the best receivers in the NFL when healthy and when not suspended, obviously, which he dealt with this last season. Hollywood Brown they got from the Baltimore Ravens. Didn't play as much as you'd hope in his Cardinal uniform, but when he did, he showed a lot of flashes. And Rondale Moore, who definitely came on last year in the absence of those guys, and showed that he can be a solid, second or third option in this offense if need be. Looking at the offensive line, pretty subpar. They had DJ Humphries and Kelvin Beachum as their tackle tandem. Justin Pugh and Will Hernandez were the guard tandem when healthy. And, of course, Rodney Hudson, when healthy, was the center in the middle. Not much to say about this offensive line. Definitely needs a lot of work to be done. And hopefully there's work to be done. But this team is in a tough spot with the cap and with the amount of holes on the roster. Going on over to the defense, they run a 3-4 defense here in Arizona. And looking at it here, you have J.J. Watt and Zach Allen manning the middle of that defensive line. J.J. Watt, obviously one of the greatest of all time, future Hall of Famer. He's going to be not on this team for this next season, unfortunately, due to his retirement, but we always are going to wish him well. Zach Allen had a very solid year. Definitely came out, but is a pending free agent. You have Marcus Golden on the outside with Myjai Sanders, the rookie, on the outside as well. At corner position, Byron Murphy, the highest rated corner here, the best corner here, but also not the greatest. He's shown ups and downs in his career. Then you have Antonio Hamilton and Marco Wilson as the other corner tandem. Then you look over here at the linebacker core, Isaiah Simmons, Zayvon Collins. This is what Steve Keim built his draft around. Whether you like it or not, it was linebackers, and Isaiah Simmons and Zayvon Collins are the reason for it. And yes, they are pretty talented. Are they as highly touted as they were drafted to be? You could argue not, but that is what the Steve Keim regime had done, and you just have to live with the repercussions that we're dealing with now here for the Arizona Cardinals. Last but not least, that safety tandem of Jalen Thompson and Budda Baker is a very solid tandem, probably one of the better tandems in the league, as Budda Baker is one of the best safeties in the league, and Jalen Thompson is a very good above average safety as well. Moving on to the cap casualties here, Robbie Anderson is going to be the first cut. You're getting off his contract completely, $12 million off the books. You're not going to have any penalty for it, so that's a very easy move to move off of. Colt McCoy here, we're going to hope that he retires, but in this scenario he doesn't, so we're going to take the penalty of the $3.5 million penalty. It's going to save us around $1.5 million You might be questioning why we do that. He's just older. He's decent when he plays, but he just does not fit the scheme. He does not fit what Kyler Murray can do in this offense. And Kyler Murray, when he deals with injury, you have to change the complete offense to a different scheme for what Kyler Murray can do. We need to change that up, and we're going to save as much as we can from it. And then Marcus Golden saves us about a little over $4 million, and it makes us lose a little bit over $1 million. So easy trade-off for me. That money can be spent elsewhere, definitely. Now we're going to get into some trades that we're going to get done before we go into the free agency market. And this is where I talked about in the beginning of the video. This is not much of a perfect offseason, more or less a perfect rebuild, as this team is looking to retool and rebuild for the future. So looking at the trades, the Cardinals are going to be sending DeAndre Hopkins, superstar wide receiver, to the New England Patriots for pick 46 and pick 115 in the 2023 NFL Draft. This is going to save us about $8 million. It's unfortunate. It's not the end to DeAndre Hopkins' career in Arizona that you'd want. Obviously, they stole him from Houston for David Johnson and his contract, and it just never worked out in the desert for DeAndre Hopkins. Another deal we're going to make is we're going to be sending Zach Ertz to the Jacksonville Jaguars for a 4th rounder this year, the pick 125, and a 5th rounder next year. This is adequate value for Ertz, who's up there in age and has a pretty solid contract, as he was paid this last offseason. And this team is just looking to get younger. They have a young tight end that was showing a lot of flashes in Trey McBride, first tight end taken on the board in this last 2022 draft. So definitely time for him to step up and show what he can do in this rebuilt and retooled offense and team that we're building here in Arizona. And that move is going to save us a little over $6.5 million, 6.6 to be exact, moving off of Zach Ertz. And the Jaguars are going to get a solid player there at the tight end position when they're losing Evan Ingram to free agency. And then obviously DeAndre Hopkins is going to be going there to New England to be their number 1 receiver. Now looking at the notable free agents for the Arizona Cardinals, a pretty decent list here, but not the worst at the same time. You're looking at Justin Pugh, who's a longtime Cardinal at guard position, Matt Prater at the kicking position, Byron Murphy at corner, definitely somebody that we're going to want to look to lock up, Zach Allen, another guy who was very good this last season, younger player who definitely did good, AJ Green, who has had ups and downs to his career in Arizona so far, Kelvin Beachum, who was a very solid right tackle for the time in Arizona, Will Hernandez, and Billy Price in the interior offensive line. Those are the guys who are notable, at least, to be marked down and talked about. But other than that, I mean, it's not like we're not missing on any huge free agents. But these guys are definitely pieces that some we can afford to lose, and we could probably afford to lose all of these guys, but there's definitely guys here that we want to bring back. So we're going to talk about those contract extensions we're going to bring back right here. Looking at the contract extensions, we're going to go with Byron Murphy, a 3-year, $30 million deal for the young corner. This is similar to what DJ Reed got from the New York Jets. He got a 3-year, $33 million deal. So Byron Murphy is going to be extending from that. Looking at Zach Allen, a 2-year, $12 million deal, similar to what Samson Ebukam got. It's the exact same deal that he got when he got paid from the 49ers. So it's a very similar play style and statistics when you break it down from him and Allen. So I gave those contracts to them, and it's a little background on how I got to the numbers. Will Hernandez is going to be brought back for $3.5 million. Just a guy who can, he's been a solid, decent starter for his career, in New York and in Arizona. But in reality, if he is a rotational piece or is a starter, that contract isn't going to hurt you or necessarily help you at the same time. It's just going to be a good, solid payday for him to stay there. Tanner Vallejo, we're going to bring him back for a 1-year, $2 million deal. Nothing too crazy for the linebacker, but just some depth at the position. And then, of course, Billy Price, we're going to bring back here for $2 million on a 1-year deal. Another guy who we need rotational pieces on his offensive line that has dealt with injuries on and off from the past, years, honestly. It seems like this line is never healthy, and it's always hurting, and it's causing guys like Kyler Murray to be hurting as well. So just getting more rotational pieces is the best way to do that. Moving on to the free agent signings we're going to be talking about here. We're going to start off with the biggest contract that we're giving out, which is not too big, and that is Teddy Bridgewater, a $5 million deal for 1 season. fits the offense a lot better as a backup. Kyler Murray, dealing with injuries, could also learn a lot from a guy like Teddy, who's been around the league for a while. But Teddy Two Gloves is coming to the desert to back up Kyler Murray and be there in case, Kyler Murray goes down. Because when Kyler did go down, Colt McCoy was not able to muster up too many wins for this Cardinals team. Greedy Williams, the LSU corner coming out, I was a very big fan of, just has not panned out as much in the NFL. We're going to give him a 3-year deal for $12 million, so pretty solid, cheap deal for the young corner, and hope that he gains some confidence and is a lot better, being opposite of Byron Murphy. Going to be giving a 1-year deal to Julio Jones for $3 million, similar to what we've seen from a lot of these veteran guys, but bringing him in, to kind of replace what D-Hop brought to this offense. Obviously not up to the caliber of DeAndre Hopkins at this point in his career, but somebody who can provide that veteran presence as well as just be another body in that receiver room that can definitely help out, especially with the young guys that we have on this team. OJ Howard is going to be the next guy. Ty Nischek is the next person, but OJ Howard, 2-year, $4 million deal. Trey McBride, although he's going to be the starting tight end, he's going to need some help in that offensive room. Getting a guy like OJ Howard for 2 years, just another body to help out. Very solid there. Ty Nischek is going to be the next guy that we're going to talk about, a 1-year, $2 million deal, really cheap deal to get somebody at right tackle who's been up. He's definitely up there in age. He's been around the league for a long time, but can definitely provide some solid snaps still at this age. And last but not least, we're bringing the Arizona State product back to the desert on a 1-year, $1.5 million deal in N'Keal Harry, to see, if he can regain any confidence that he has as a former first-round pick. And that is pretty much all the notable free agent signings we're going to make. Obviously, there's going to be signings like replacing Matt Prater or bringing back Matt Prater. There's different things, but we don't need to talk about kickers and six stringers and guys like that. These are the guys that are the notable ones that are going to see some playing time. N'Keal Harry is kind of an exception to that, but I just think the Arizona connection is kind of cool. And after all these signings, they're left over with about $12.5 million in cap space, enough to sign these contracts for the draft, and that's pretty much it. There's other moves that they could make to clear up some more cap space, restructuring some other deals, but for now, this is what we're going to be doing. And now we head into our mock draft simulation. Starting off the mock draft simulation, these were done on Pro Football Network, so if you guys are confused on, hey, why would you take this player over this player, they might have already been gone in the simulation. So at pick 3, Jalen Carter, the defensive lineman out of Georgia, arguably the best player in the draft, is going to be taken here. In the mock draft, 2 quarterbacks were taken in the first picks because the Bears traded out of the first overall pick, which was kind of cool to see. So we ended up being able to select Jalen Carter here out of Georgia, which is just a beast of a player. He's my top-rated player in this draft. So being able to select him is awesome for the Cardinals and really, passes the torch from J.J. Watt to Jalen Carter in this defense. Then you go over to pick 34. We're going to be selecting edge rusher B.J. Ojulari out of LSU, brother of Azeez Ojulari on the New York Giants, who's shown a lot of flashes in New York. B.J. is an absolute monster off the edge and will provide a big help, as we saw. Marcus Golden and Myjai Sanders just are not the best tandem it's probably the worst tandem in the NFL, to be honest, off the edge. You need better edge rushers, and getting a guy like B.J. Ojulari, who's a fringe first-rounder, would absolutely help this team out. Rashee Rice here, this is going to be with one of the selections we traded for, is going to be selected out of SMU, just another receiver, big-bodied receiver, to help out this rotational room, learn a lot from a guy like Julio Jones, and be that big body that we're missing now that we have gotten rid of A.J. Green and DeAndre Hopkins, and hopefully be able to step into that role after the 1-year contract of Julio Jones is expired. Going on to pick 66, Cody Mauch out of North Dakota State University. He's an offensive lineman because he can play inside or outside. Most likely going to line up inside for the beginning of his career, but could move out to the outside, play tackle if need be. Kenny McIntosh out of Georgia. Just need more running back help. Like I said, Keontae Ingram was not the best backup running back in the league. A lot of people like having 2 running backs now, and James Conner needs some help. McIntosh has shown some flashes, could definitely be something solid behind James Conner and be a complementary piece. At 115, we took tight end Cameron Latu out of Alabama. Again, just another depth piece. We got OJ Howard. We got Trey McBride, obviously. Adding Latu to that, makes OJ Howard expendable. if you don't want to keep him on that contract, if you want to cut him after a year, if you want to cut him in training camp. But also you lost Max Williams as well as Zach Ertz in this offseason, so adding some more tight end to that room. And, of course, just special teams as well, being a blocker, being able to go out there, being a gunner. There's a lot of different things there. Edge rusher KJ Henry out of Clemson at 125. Just adding, again, more edge help as much as we can, as well as another guy that's going to be a special teamer. And speaking of special teams, at 167, we're going to be taking Jay Ward out of LSU, who really will be primarily a special teamer, but fill in if need be due to injuries. Looking at the new 2023 offense of the Arizona Cardinals, you still have Kyler Murray at the helm, James Conner, but now with Kenny McIntosh as the complimentary back. Trey McBride takes over that starting tight end role with Marquise Brown, Rondale Moore, and Julio Jones rounding out the receiver trio. On that offensive line, you got DJ Humphries, Cody Mauch, Rodney Hudson, Will Hernandez, and Ty Niski out of not anywhere, but just looking at this offense, it's not great. It's not. I'm not going to be honest here, but with this team, you paid Kyler Murray a lot of money. You're going to have to eat some of the dead cap from DeAndre Hopkins. You're going to have to eat some of the dead cap from the Zach Ertz deal. You paid a lot of money to Budda Baker. J.J. Watt retiring doesn't help, because that leaves a giant hole that we'll talk about on defense. But yeah, there's just not a lot of money to go around, and there's a lot of talent needed. So this is definitely the start of a rebuild, a retooling, as I might call it. But it is not the end of the world. This offense could definitely still do some damage if everybody reaches their true potentials and plays together. So they're going to go into the season looking to win as many games as possible, obviously, but we've seen better teams. Then looking at the defense here, Myjai Sanders is still on the edge as we were not able to replace him on top of everybody else. So he's going to be playing on the edge outside of Jalen Carter and Zach Allen, which is going to be such a great duo. Jalen Carter is not supposed to be an 88. That was J.J. Watt's rating, but he is very solid. So pretend that 88 is like an 81, 82 because he's a rookie. We're not going to overvalue him, but Zach Allen, very solid. B.J. Ojulari is going to be on the edge, which is going to provide a big spark off that edge. You got Byron Murphy, Greedy Williams, and Marco Wilson as your corner trio. Not too bad. A lot of young talent there. You're going to see what they can do on the upside. You still got Zaven Collins and Isaiah Simmons manning the middle, which is good. And, of course, Budda Baker and Jalen Thompson at that safety position. So a team that has a lot of studs still and a lot of talent. New GM Monty Austinford's in for a long offseason to try and, figure out what this direction of this team is. But at the least, you get a superstar in Jalen Carter. You get a hopeful star in B.J. Ojulari. And you get some talent, throughout free agency and the draft to retool this team and hopefully create some more wins in the desert. It's hard to go back from where you are as a top 3 pick in the NFL draft. It seems like a place where you can only go up from here. Obviously, you can go worse. You can get top 2, top 1 pick in the draft, but this is a team that's looking up and starts off with a guy like Jalen Carter in that middle. So without further ado, that is going to be it for this Cardinals rebuild, this Cardinals perfect offseason, as we might call it. But obviously, it's not the perfect offseason when you're losing talent like guys like DeAndre Hopkins and companies. But let me know what you think about it in the comment section below, Cardinals fans. What would you do different? The biggest question I want answered in the comment section below from Cardinals fans is, do you want to go into a rebuild, or is it time to throw all the chips on the table and go all in? It's a tough road ahead, but you can kind of go either way with the talent you could keep DeAndre Hopkins and Ertz and everybody, but it's a hard sell, definitely. But without further ado, that is going to be it for this rebuild. If you guys did enjoy it, please be sure to leave it a like and comment down below. Share the video as well with your friends, and subscribe if you are new. Let me know comment down below which team you want me to do next, and subscribe so you won't miss a beat. There's going to be a playlist for all of these perfect rebuilds for the offseason, so definitely go ahead and check that out. As well as, again, go check out Underdog Fantasy if you haven't already. Use code Sormani, SORMANI. It'll match your first deposit 100% up to $100. Without further ado, that is going to be for me. If you did enjoy the video, please be sure to leave it a like. If you didn't, just refresh the page and let me know what you think about it for a second time. And that's going to be it. I see you guys in the next one.